Hello and welcome. My name is Lisa, and in this video, I'm going to address what it is about the love bombing stage that narcissists hate. Now, if you're enjoying this content, please go ahead and click the like button and click the subscribe button so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. If you've been involved in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, you know the love bombing stage you experienced in the beginning of the relationship is the best it's ever going to get with the narcissist. This is when they're constantly calling and texting. They want to be with you all the time. They're showering you with gifts and affection and telling you how much they love you. So for the victim, this is wonderful for a while. This person feels amazing, and the victim feels like this is the person of their dreams, everything they could ever want and more. But for the narcissist, this stage is experienced very differently. Now, at first, the narcissist is truly infatuated. They're not in love. They're just fascinated with their new toy, their new possession. And for a brief moment, they do enjoy that infatuation. But that quickly goes away before the love bombing stage even ends. However, they have to continue their love bombing in order to keep you hooked until they have you fully invested in the relationship. They need to make certain you won't run away when they start their devaluation. Now, if you have money or assets that they want, they have to work really hard to gain access to this. Because if you're financially independent, it's going to be easier for you to walk away when you're not financially dependent upon them. So they must keep up their facade until they've secured whatever it is that you have that they want. And this is exhausting for them. It requires a lot of effort from the narcissist to keep up their facade. And they resent having to do this. The longer they have to keep this up in order to get what they want, the more they actually resent you for having to do so. Narcissists hate the love bombing stage because they can't be themselves. Everyone is most comfortable around people they can truly be themselves around. And in this way, the narcissist is no different. They want to feel comfortable too. They want to be themselves. Unfortunately, the narcissist's true self is nothing like what they present to you during the love bombing phase. Their true self is someone who is emotionally unstable, someone who finds it difficult to regulate their emotions and their emotional responses, someone who enjoys complaining and arguing and exerting their feelings of superiority over other people, someone who likes putting others down and making them feel insecure or not enough or not worthy. If they showed their true selves in the beginning, you'd be saying goodbye shortly after the first hello. And the narcissist knows this. They know they have to pretend to be everything you want. They know that. And that is irritating to them. And they can't show that irritation. Not at first. Think about the narcissist you were involved with or who you are involved with. When did they start to devalue you? When did you first notice they weren't being quite as kind as before or quite as loving as they were in the beginning? Now, it may be hard to pinpoint that exact moment because the narcissist starts to devalue very slowly, very subtly, and they're looking for your reaction to this. Maybe they made a snide remark. Maybe they made a joke at your expense and laughed it off as just teasing. Maybe they raised their voice at you, not screaming, just raised their voice. They are testing your boundaries. They're trying to see if they can get away with their behavior. They're trying to find the threshold of what you will tolerate and what they can get away with. If you stand firm on your boundaries and you call them on their behavior, one of two things will happen. They will back off and they will go back to the love bombing for a while to reel you back in and reel you in further since they haven't ensnared you well enough yet. Or they will end the relationship because you're proving to be too difficult for them to ensnare. And narcissists are lazy when it comes to relationships. They don't want to really have to work that hard because it's easier for them to just go find someone else that's easier for them to manipulate. Now, if they test your boundaries and you let their behavior slide, and you make excuses to yourself for their behavior, they know they've got you. And the devaluation will continue, and it will get worse. Each time you forgive them or excuse their actions, the devaluation gets worse. Each time they get away with raising their voice at you, the devaluation gets worse. And pretty soon, they're not just raising their voice, they're screaming at you. Pretty soon, they're not just venting their frustrations to you, they're venting and raging at you. Pretty soon, they're not just making snide, backhanded comments or jokes at your expense. They're coming right at you and calling you names. When it comes to narcissists, the old saying of give them an inch and they'll take a mile is the absolute truth, because the more they get away with, the more they up their abuse. And this is where the victim is becoming depressed, anxious, just basically unhappy. And at the same time, this is where the narcissist thrives. This is the stage they were waiting for. Once the relationship moves into this stage, the love bombing is over. Now, it may return briefly in order to reel you back in if the narcissist isn't ready to discard you yet and they don't want you to leave them. But it will never, ever be what it was in the beginning. It will never be that kind of wonderful ever again. And the time period between the love bombing and the devaluation will be shorter and shorter each and every time. Eventually, it may go away altogether, and rather than periods of devaluation followed by some love bombing, it will be periods of devaluation followed by a period of reprieve from the abuse. Shortly before I left my narc husband, we were out of town on vacation, and he went into one of his rants and screamed at me over the phone for 3 hours straight, literally. Now, a few days later, he took me to a 5-star resort hotel, expecting a romantic time with me and acting confused as to why I wasn't feeling it. So, after arguing as usual, he ended up professing his love to me and saying to me, "I'm going to be a better husband to you from now on." And I wanted to believe that. For a moment, I did. But less than 24 hours later, he was back to his usual behavior. There was no change. No change ever took place. And this is how the abuse cycle goes, over and over, until someone leaves. And I'll be addressing more about the love bombing stage and what that looks like in my next